All right, welcome. Today we're diving deep into Janet MacLeod Trotter's incredible novel, The Tea Planter's Bride. This is one of those stories that just sweeps you off your feet, taking you all the way from the misty highlands of Scotland to the steamy tea plantations of India, all while uncovering a secret that's been buried for a generation. So let's just imagine for a second. What if your only memories of your parents were just these flashes of color and this vague, heavy feeling of loss? You've been told one story your whole life, that they died of a fever. But deep down, it just never quite added up. What if the real truth was hidden, not just in the past, but an entire ocean away? Well, that's exactly the world we're jumping into with The Tea Planter's Bride. This is a big, sweeping historical saga published back in 2017. It takes us from a post-World War I Scotland that's still healing and drops us right into the fascinating and really complex society of the British Raj in India. So if you love historical fiction with a juicy family mystery at its core, you are in the right place. Now, at the heart of this story are two cousins, Sophie Logan and Tilly Watson. They're basically sisters, as close as can be, but they have two very, very different destinies ahead of them, and they have no idea what's coming. And you can see right away just how different they are. Sophie, she's our adventurer. She's an orphan, fiercely independent, and you can just picture her, right? Zipping around on her motorcycle, which she calls the Mem Sahib. And then you have Tilly. She's the complete opposite. A sheltered, sweet, kind-hearted homemaker who's always got her nose in a book. I mean, her nickname is Silly Tilly, which really tells you everything you need to know about how people see her at the start. This quote just says it all about Sophie, doesn't it? Someone asks her about woodworking, and she just says, "I prefer my trees alive. I love nothing better than to walk through wild forests." It's not just a clever comeback, it's her whole entire philosophy. It speaks to this deep-seated need for freedom and for a world that's untamed. And then, in perfect contrast, you have Tilly. Thinking back on a fishing trip, she just admits, "I couldn't bear all those slippery innards." It's such a small detail, but it paints this perfect picture of her as sensitive, maybe a little squeamish, definitely not cut out for the rugged life Sophie craves. But I want you to remember this version of Tilly because her journey, her transformation, is one of the most powerful parts of this whole book. Okay, so this brings us to the real mystery, this shadow that's been hanging over Sophie's entire life. She was only 6 years old when she was sent home from India. The story she's always been told is that her parents died of enteric fever, which was kind of a catch-all term for things like typhoid. But her own memories, they're just fragments, flashes of color, a sense of being abandoned. The official story has always felt, well, incomplete. And the plot thickens with their Aunt Amy, the woman who raised them and loves them dearly. We find out she's been sitting on a massive secret for years. We see her burn a desperate letter from Sophie's mother, Jessie, and as she watches it turn to ash, she whispers, "Forgive me, Jessie." So you have to ask, what could she possibly be so desperate to hide, and why? This timeline really puts it all into perspective. So way back in May 1907, Sophie's parents die. For more than a decade after that, she's raised in Scotland, always with these nagging questions in the back of her mind. But now, in the present day of the novel, two men from that past in India are suddenly back in their lives. And with them, all those carefully constructed walls start to crack. So how does this all start to unravel? Well, it all kicks off when fate, in a weird twist, puts both cousins on a ship heading right back to India. Sophie is following her new fiancé, ready to start a new life, and Tilly, she's made a very sudden marriage to a gruff tea planter named James Robson, who just happens to be the same man who brought little Sophie home all those years ago. The stage is set. And once they're in India, believe it or not, it's the timid Tilly who suddenly becomes this incredible detective. The clues just start piling up. First, she stumbles upon her aunt and uncle's grave, but it's hundreds of miles from where they supposedly died. Then she starts hearing local rumors, whispers about her uncle's insane jealousy and about a haunted bungalow. And finally, the clincher. She finds out her own husband, James, was right there when it all happened. She realizes he knows way more than he's letting on, and she confronts him. And the truth, well, it's just devastating. It's so much worse than anyone could have possibly imagined. Sophie's father, Bill Logan, driven mad by a malarial fever and a fit of jealous rage, murdered his wife, Jessie. And then he took his own life. The whole story about enteric fever was a lie. a cover-up created to protect a little girl from a horrifying, violent family legacy. But just when you think the tragedy can't get any deeper, there's one last, absolutely heartbreaking reveal. A former nanny tells them that Sophie's mother, terrified of her husband's instability, didn't just send 6-year-old Sophie away to safety. She also sent away her newborn son. Sophie had a baby brother she never even knew existed. This single quote right here marks Tilly's complete and total transformation. She says it to Clary, a strong, independent woman she befriends in India. "I want to be like you." And in that one moment, silly Tilly from Scotland is just gone. Forever. She has stared into the darkest corner of her family's past. She's navigated a new country, and she has found a strength and a sense of self she never, ever knew she had. So after all of that, the drama, the history, the heartbreak, what's our final verdict on The Tea Planter's Bride? Let's break it all down. You know, if you boil this whole sprawling story down to one central lesson, it's this. The past is never really truly buried. The secrets we keep, even when we think we're protecting people, they always have a way of coming to the surface. And finding out the truth, no matter how much it hurts, is the only real way to heal and finally be able to move forward. So, what did we think? Well, the pros are huge. The historical setting is just so rich and detailed, you feel like you're there. The mystery at the center of it is absolutely compelling and keeps you hooked. And the book really, really shines with its strong female characters. Tilly's incredible transformation is amazing, but so is Sophie's journey to figure out who she is after her past is revealed. On the flip side, yeah, the pacing can get a little slow in the middle, and there's a pretty big cast of characters that can sometimes be a little hard to keep track of. Taking all of that into account, we're giving The Tea Planter's Bride a really strong 8.5 out of 10. It's just a beautifully written, character-driven story that does a masterful job of blending a gripping family mystery with a vivid, fascinating slice of history. And if this sounds like your cup of tea, pun intended, you should definitely check out The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi for another incredible, immersive story set in India. And also The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes, if you're looking for another tale of powerful female friendship set against a rich historical backdrop. So that leaves us with one last big question that really gets to the heart of this book. If you found out there was a dark, painful secret buried in your own family's past, would you have the courage to bring it into the light, even knowing the damage it might cause? It's definitely something to think about.